morning, everyone. Thanks so much for coming to this workshop. We're going to be talking about leadership this morning, and we're really going to be talking about some key terms: conscious leadership, unconscious leadership, and anti-conscious leadership, and fit those into your leadership paradigm. And hopefully you're changing leadership paradigm that fits with the 21st century and our changing global landscape. So prior to moving into that piece, I think everyone has their coffee in front of them, or their water and juice and that kind of thing. So let's move forward and really talk about what the outcomes will be. So the intention then this morning would be that there are three outcomes. The first is that we will together and you will have opportunities to explore these definitions. What is meant by leadership versus management? That may be more important, what is conscious leadership, what is unconscious leadership, and what is anti-conscious leadership, and how you fit within that paradigm, and how it is that you want to shift and change who it is that you are, and how you show up as being a leader. So the first one then is to explore these definitions and explore leadership within that realm as it fits with our paradigm. Secondly, to look internally, look within yourself and see how it is that you are showing up as a leader. What qualities you have, what are the pieces that you bring to the table in terms of being a leader. By that I mean informal as well as formal leader. So within that leadership piece, how it is that you fit and the time that you have to explore for yourself. So we'll have some time for personal reflection. We'll also have some time for a larger group conversation there, in terms of what it is that means to you and how it fits for you. And the final piece is that at the end of this morning, the intention, the hope is that you are going to make a commitment to shifting and changing A, your thinking, and B, your way of doing things in terms of leadership. So again, those three key pieces: exploration a little bit of the terms and looking at leadership versus management, but more importantly, looking at conscious leadership. Secondly, to look at how it is that you are showing up and how it is that you can move yourself along that continuum. And the third piece then, of course, is that commitment. And I'm really hopeful that you will. At the end of this morning, you will come up with a commitment or several commitments. And again, this is no one-shot thing. This is continuous. So as you leave here today and you process this, I'm sure that you will come up with more and more commitments along the roadway, along the pathway of growing your leadership. So that's the intention behind the morning. At the end of the morning, I will hand out sheets to you, and I will ask for your feedback in terms of what it is maybe that you learned and what it is that you will take away from here, and then of course the evaluation of the workshop and other stuff. So any questions on that? All right, well, terrific. So let's move into the next piece then, which is the opportunity for you to think about people who are leaders and who have influenced your lives. It also gives us a bit of a chance to get to know each other. We're not going to go around introducing everyone. Again, there is a large group here. We will ask you to do some personal reflection time, and then I'm going to ask you to sit down and talk with a partner around this as well. So on the slide behind me, you will see that it talks about someone who has been impactful or influential in your life as a leader. And again, it doesn't have to be a formal leader, it could be an informal leader, but who has played a huge role in your life as a leader. So there are 6 key questions, 6 key things that I would like you to think about. So I'll give you 2 minutes there, about 2 minutes, to really evaluate and speak about that in terms of who that person is. And then 5 minutes with a partner to share. So essentially 2 minutes to plan on your own, 5 minutes to share with someone else, 5 minutes for that person to share back with you. So again, the questions then that are at the back behind me on the screen, the first question is to look at that person and to look at the role that they played in your life. So think about that, really share the role that that person had within your life. Secondly, talk about that relationship. How did that relationship develop? Where did you meet? How did you make those connections? Was it a one-time thing, or was it someone that stayed within your life for a long time? Or what was that relationship, and how did that feel? What did that look like? To really build the emotional piece of that. The third one is how they were helpful in your life. How did they help you in your life, in terms of your thinking, in terms of your reflecting, in terms of your shifting pieces around who it is that you have developed into. How did they help you grow? The fourth piece then, what were the personal qualities of that individual that really stood out for you? So what were those personal pieces that stood out for you? Fourth, or the fifth one rather than, is the important life skills that you learned from that relationship with that person. What were those life skills that you learned? And the final piece that I'd like you to really consider is, have you been in touch? Lots of times those people play such a huge part in our lives at a certain time, and then we kind of grow apart, or we move locations and we haven't connected. The final piece is, how do you get in touch? And I encourage you and I invite you that if you haven't been in touch, that you move forward and you do get in touch with them. Hopefully you can still find that. So again, I invite you to do that. So again, 2 minutes personal reflection time, 5 minutes each. I'll tell you when those time limits are coming close to the end, the last 30 seconds, so that you can finish everything up and be prepared for the next piece. And we'll take a little bit of a conversation as a large group after that as well. So how was that for you? Anything you want to share? Yeah, absolutely. Those people were so aware of who you are, and they were there for you, weren't they? They helped guide you, they helped support you, absolutely. Oh, I love that. You know, that whole awareness of who it is that they are and who it is that you are, and how they don't work at the expense of you, but rather with you. Key things coming out here, and key things that will really affect what we talk about in terms of conscious leadership. Being rather than doing. Terrific. It's not just doing, not just moving through everything, but it's the being piece. Being there for you, isn't it? Absolutely. All right, so let's move on to the next piece then, and that really is that whole piece around conscious leadership. Take a moment to talk or think about management first before we do that, and that old paradigm of management, or perhaps that old paradigm of leadership even, where we talk about power and control, and people were of that mind that you were a leader, you were a manager, you were important if you had that power and control. And we really are at a different place now in terms of leadership. But then, as you consider that paradigm in terms of management and leadership, consider this statement: who you are is how you lead. And Gail Gibson wrote a book in 2009 out of Royal Road University in Victoria, and she talked about that. That was really the title of her book. Who you are is how you lead. Do you agree with that statement? Yeah, for sure. And we all know people who are our leaders, perhaps by title, and perhaps by what they do, and how they act, and who they be, so to speak. Who you are is how you lead. If you remember anything today, that's one key thing I think is absolutely essential. Who you are is how you lead. How you show up for people is, in fact, how you lead. So then let's move into that conscious leadership realm and take a little bit of time to think about what conscious leadership might mean. What does it stand for in terms of your mind? Yeah, all those things that we were talking about. Truly aware of who they are. Truly aware of that connection with you. Working with people, not at the expense of others. Absolutely, the being rather than doing. Showing up for people. Not just showing up, but showing up for people, with people. Engaging with others. Lots of things there for sure. And unconscious leadership? Yeah, haven't we all been there where we have someone who's an unconscious leader? They think that they know it all because they have that power and control. They think that they know it all. But in essence, they've moved into their position, they really don't know what it is that they don't know. Not necessarily because they're trying to do things badly, they just don't know what it is that they don't know. And then the anti-conscious piece. Yeah. Coercive, fearful. You work with leaders like that? anti-conscious fear? I really hope most of the people that you work with that are leaders, informal and formal leaders, are conscious leaders, unconscious leaders perhaps, but not anti-conscious. Consider the continuum there in terms of anti-conscious maybe, but unconscious leadership to conscious leadership, and how that works for you. We're all on a continuum. We're all moving forward and growing our skills and learning more and more about who we are and how we show up as leaders. Now we're going to take some time at your table to talk about your leadership, of who you are, and some questions around that. And again, they'll be on the slides behind me. Have some table talk around that. I'll give you about 10 minutes. Then what it is, we're going to move into some larger group conversation and really focus on and dig deeply into qualities of conscious leader and how you can grow that in terms of your continuum of conscious leadership. Those questions there, and there really are 4 of them that I'd like you to talk about at your table. And so the first question really is, how do you assess who you are and how you are as a leader? How do you assess that? How does communication to people? Second key question is, how do you show up as a leader? Think about that. Think about what people would say about you as a leader. How do you show up as a leader? Third question, what goals do you have for yourself as a leader? What are your goals as a leader? What are your goals as an individual? Remember, who you are is how you lead. And the fourth question then, what difference do you want to make as a leader? So again, that conversation that I'd like you to have at the table, then we'll have some large group conversation as well. Bring those key pieces out. You can make notes on the paper that's there in front of you. Put it in your thinking, process it as you work through the morning and into the future. At the end of this piece of, at the end of this chunk, we will in fact be taking a coffee break. Again, as you go off into your table group, I'd like to remind you again, who you are is how you lead. Who you are is how you lead. So again, this conversation, we come back after coffee break, we'll talk more about the leadership paradigm and how we need to shift that in the changing global landscape. So, enjoy your conversation.